Hello, gentlemen. Good afternoon, or I should say, mixed afternoon, judging by your World Cup squad and comparing it with ours. We are talking about, of course, India versus Australia and their respective World Cup squads for the T20 World Cup 2024 happening in the US in a couple of weeks' time, or possibly 3-4 weeks out. Um, Let's talk about India. You people announced the squad first, and you're probably exiting the tournament first as well. So I feel we should dig in, figure what's going on there, whether you have
I
decided.
think you spoke a little too much too soon, Kriska, but let's hear it from the India fans. Dibli Dobler, Bantofu, go ahead.
So, as you can see, if you're watching this on YouTube, I'm dressed up as a tourist for the Caribbean. So, that should show you what I think about India's team. Uh, I, to start off, I think a lot of the selections in the team are legacy selections. They are there so they can have the last hurrah in their careers and win a World Cup. Although a couple of them have won World Cups in the past, but they have not been the main protagonists in those World Cups. Uh, and I think that shows a slight problem with the way Indian cricket works, and I mean how India works. There are non-cricketing reasons for players to be on that plane to the United States. One we've already spoken about is Mr. Kohli, who has in the last 2 years averaged 139 in T20I cricket, which is really poor. Now, taking a step back, before I give my exact analysis of the team, I think the IPL this time has shown us that there are no anchors or finishers. Like, you shouldn't differentiate between those two. There are only hitters in T20 teams. You shouldn't discriminate between the balls at the end and the balls at the beginning of a T20 innings. It's not like they're fungible. It's not like the balls at the beginning are less valuable, so you score at 130, and in the end they're more valuable, so you score at 180. No, you need hitters all throughout your batting order. Uh, to India's credit, they have selected more hitters than the last two T20 World Cups, and that is the selection of Samson, selection of Dubey. These folks can hit the ball from their first three or first two balls. So I dropped my earphones, which is not true for a lot of other players. There is a uh, glaring miss, and we'll talk about that later. But I think I'd like to end my beginning thoughts by saying that even with the team that has been selected, I think if India under Rohit Sharma has a mindset of hitting from ball one and not playing classical traditional ODI cricket and T20 cricket, then India can still make it. Uh, if we've seen this mentality change across different teams in the IPL as well. You've seen it with Sunrisers. A Travis Head or an Abhishek Sharma might not be playing at the same strike rate if the team mentality and the team strategy were different. So yeah, I think team strategy, team mentality will matter a lot in this World Cup for India, and that will be the clincher rather than the squad.
Yeah, I'd like to add on to it and like slightly disagree with you as well. In the IPL, we did see a lot of, well, 250 scores, 260 scores. 262 isn't safe enough a score.
Slightly
But the thing
disagree. The
is, like,
civil war has already begun, I guess, Gandalf. They are making our job only so
the
much
thing
easier.
is, like, there's a lot of standardization of pitches that you're seeing in this IPL, barring the last couple of games that you've seen in Lucknow. All of the pitches they've given absolutely nothing to the spinners. You can see that the average turn is actually lesser than the preceding seasons. You look at Chepauk, like which is known for like their spin choke in the middle overs. That's completely disappeared in this IPL. That's something you can see. The Eknath Solkar Stadium, compared to the previous year, you're still seeing higher scores. It's not completely due to the pitches as well. So it's a number of factors. The impact player is adding 10, 15 runs to every team's total. Uh, it's more the pitches than anything, but also like the players understanding the evolution of T20 cricket, the value of balls, what it is. So if you saw yesterday's game, KL Rahul was 4 for 17, and I don't think that was very much an intent issue. The ball was seaming around in the first 3 overs. You could see like a good amount of swing in the first 3 overs. The white ball does swing for that like 3 overs. Now, moving to the World Cup happening in the West Indies, you get slow, low pitches in the West Indies. That is the kind of pitches they have. Uh, Although India have a lot of their games, initial games in the US, uh, the important games are going to happen in the Caribbean. There, you will need players who can negotiate the difficult period, who can get off strike on spin. Like, for example, Surya played this 70 or 40 odd balls, etc., or 50 balls, etc., against Punjab, if I'm not wrong. Those kind of knocks, you're going to see the importance of those kind of knocks in those Caribbean pitches. You aren't going to see regular 200 scores, at least in the Caribbean. In the US, you're going to see very true pitches. They're going to stay true for 20 overs. You're going to see some explosive batting with the small grounds that are available. And if I'm not wrong, they're using drop in pitches from Australia. So you can probably see some bounce as well. So this isn't going to be a bowler's World Cup by any chance. So that's why you're going to see a lot of teams using SLAs. They're understanding the importance of, like you see Krunal Pandya, his field setting this entire IPL. He's more than happy to give off that single. A single is a victory for a T20 bowler. Like anything that isn't a boundary is a victory. He's happy. He's setting the fields. He's opening up that single option so that the batters take that single risk-free single. And he's operating at an economy of 6.4 or something in the middle overs. That's amazing. That's very smart cricket. That's what you're going to see in the West Indies as opposed to your 200, 250 scores that we've been seeing in
So
the
they've taken
IPL.
the wrong Pandya.
Oof. Oof. Nah, I mean,
We
would
have
we
some
want somebody who can't hit a full
infighting
toss
going
as a
on,
finisher?
Chris.
Within the family, the one
Yeah.
family. But no, we already have two very capable SLA purely in terms of bowling in Jadeja and Akshar Patel. So I'm happy. As good as Krunal Pandya is, Akshar Patel and Jadeja slightly pip him at the moment.
I think Indian squad right now has not just slow left armers but also very capable, able Chinaman bowling all rounder. Dare I speak uh, in Kuldeep Yadav. So I think
Yeah,
he's going to be a
China,
handful.
yeah,
Kuldeep Yadav,
their
an
lack of
interesting
off
stat
spinner.
over the last 2 years, Kuldeep Yadav in international cricket for India has an economy of 5.95. That is insane, and an average of
Yeah.
13. He's the, I mean, that's the best across the Indian team over the last few
Yeah.
years.
And I would say, I would any day pick a Kuldeep Yadav to give me wickets and also sometimes, defend rather than just picking up a defensive slow left armer uh, just for the sake of it, right? So Kuldeep Yadav can be actually a handful, especially when a new batsman is at the crease or things like that. So people find it hard to read players like Kuldeep Yadav, Tabriz, Shamsi. These guys are really doing good in the last couple of years in 2020. So there's some.
India is an outstanding. India play Tabriz Shamsi really, really well for some reason. They just pick him off the bat really well, picking off the hand really well. But also Kuldeep Yadav, I want to see how he fares against left-handers. That's going to be really interesting because India do not have an off spinner in their squad, and traditionally we aren't really bowling SLAs to left armers anymore. I don't know the matchups, etc. It makes sense to a certain extent. So how Kuldeep operates in the middle overs against somebody like a Miller or a Nicholas Puran is going to be really interesting and is really going to determine India's chances in this World Cup.
Yeah, I think we have had fairly good overall views about the squad. Time to probably discuss about a potential playing 11 in most of the games, regardless of the pitch conditions. What would your 11 be? I mean, we need not go around the room just for, the sake of it, and to save time as well. We'll probably discuss the usual suspects. At the top, it would be Rohit Sharma and Yashasvi Jaiswal. Is that right?
Can we
Or do you,
pull up the squad?
yeah, there's the squad.
We can look at it two ways. Do you want the 11 that we want, or do you want the 11 that is likely to play?
That is most likely to
Like
play.
the pragmatic, yeah, the
Yeah.
pragmatic likely to play 11. Uh, I mean, we can talk about the 11, of course. But then after that, I want to talk about one glaring miss. So, but let's go over the 11s.
Yeah.
Yeah. We always like talking about the elephant in the room first, but let's take the elephant towards the end, uh,
Yeah.
which is also the title
So,
of another one of our episodes on Virat Kohli. So we'll discuss about that. But yeah, let's start with Rohit Sharma and Yashasvi Jaiswal. I think
yes, Rohit Sharma, Jaiswal.
that's locked.
Jaiswal has
Yeah.
a strike rate of 160 over the last 2 years in T20 cricket. Then we have, I mean, if you keep Virat Kohli in the 15, you cannot not have him in the 11. It's
Yeah.
impossible for non-cricketing reasons to drop him. Then you have the world's number one T20 batter, Surya Kumar Yadav.
360.
I would pick Sanju Samson next over Rishabh Pant. Rishabh has shown that he can come back and hit, and I'm really happy for him. I'm a huge Rishabh Pant fan, especially in Test cricket. Really happy that he's doing well in the IPL and he's recovered from a horrible injury. But I think Samson is the incumbent. He's a more mature batter than Rishabh Pant. He comes in for me at 5.
Shivam Dubey
I,
at
I would
6.
I would then pick Shivam Dubey at 6. And I mean, I think what's more important is the players rather than the order, because the order is usually fluid in T20 cricket. So again, depending on the matchups, Dubey can come in earlier for the spinners. So yeah, 6 batter
Just a quick
is Dubey.
interruption there, interjecting for Dubey. Do we have any track record on Dubey, or are we speaking purely from recent memory of his performances in the IPL?
A mix of both. In the last couple of years, Dubey has been really good against spin. He's also shown it briefly for India when he came back in a recent series. I can't recall which one, but just before the IPL, he was selected, and I think he smashed a couple of good scores. Was it against Australia? Not sure. And
I
I
think
think
he played
if
the
I were
Asian
Dubey,
Games.
I would be right now just chasing Dwayne Bravo in the CSK support staff and asking him how to bowl in the West Indies. He definitely needs to bowl 2 overs, and he has the best person in his CSK camp, which is Dwayne Bravo, to help him out, coach him on how to excel with his dibbly dobblers in the World Cup.
Cool.
So,
Cool.
more on that, Shivam Dubey, like his international record isn't too bad either. We might have think he failed, etc., because we don't have such a great memory of him, but he averages close to 40, striking at 145. And we have to understand that he hasn't been given a proper role in the T20 setup yet. Ideally, there'll be much better role clarity, which is something we've seen under the Rohit Dravid management as well. There is a lot of role clarity that is given, especially in the One Day World Cup, that we just faintly remember. Yeah, so if Shivam Dubey gets that role, he isn't your out and out finisher who's going to play over number 18 and 20 and hit the paces. While he has developed that ability in this IPL, that's not his role. His role is to take on the spinners and the middle overs. Uh, but the problem lies with how Shivam Dubey and Hardik Pandya currently have very similar skill sets. Dubey might be better at taking down the spinners, but Hardik, purely based on current form or like recent trends, has not been able to time the ball off the middle for the fast bowlers and the death overs. But he's still got it against the spinners. He can strike it well in the middle overs. So they kind of have the same entry point. India lacks a finisher. India lacks a pace hitter. That's where we have to talk
Hmm.
about the elephant in the
I,
room, which we'll
I
save for
wonder
later. So yes,
if you could have done
6
anything
and 7,
different.
I'm guessing. So, I wonder who do they have as a pace hitter? It's anybody who strikes the ball at 170 in our team.
Average is over 50.
Can't
89
remember.
actually.
But the selectors can't either.
I would go at
But yeah,
I would go with Pandya at 7, purely because I think the pitches in the Caribbean will be slow. If he balls a test match line, I think he'll be quite effective there, and I think he's shown capability of doing
his
that. And
cutters are gonna
uh,
do a lot.
yeah, and then at 8, I would like to extend the batting order and have Akshar Patel instead of Jadeja. Akshar Patel is a vastly superior T20 player than Jadeja over the last 2 years. It extends our batting. And then for me, and feel free to disagree, Rehan. For me, then after Akshar at 9 is Kuldeep, then Bumrah, and then Arshdeep. So you have 5.5 bowling options, I would say, with
Who
Dubey
was your
coming in,
11th
and
man?
Arshdeep.
Arshdeep.
He's
Arshdeep.
the incumbent. Siraj, I'm not very impressed by. I'm not very impressed by his selection either in the squad. I think there are a lot of other options, but he is the safe selection. Like I think a lot of times, and you can think about your corporate workplaces as well. Folks are selected because they are familiar. They are from, say, your same institute, or you've spent a lot of time with them. So it's a safe choice. Rohit knows how to manage Siraj. He might not come out. He might not be the best choice, but it's a safe choice.
But
I
I'm
don't
not
agree with
too
safe,
sure if
but
it's true. I think with the Caribbean pitches, Siraj is arguably your fastest bowler for India. I mean,
Yes.
next to Mayank Yadav, probably, who's way too
No,
raw and too
more
early
than
to
just the
introduce.
pace. I think Siraj can use the swing much better than Arshdeep can at this point. And that the 3 overs up front, we don't have a real power play bowler because like everybody backloads Bumrah for like your best hitters, be it a Heinrich Klaasen or a Glenn Maxwell. People are gonna backload Bumrah. You want them against the team's best players. So Siraj is gonna be your upfront power play bowler. Akshar Patel, while he can bowl in the power play, he isn't that good of a bowler in the power play. Kuldeep Yadav doesn't bowl in the power play. Uh, like Hardik Pandya, he does have the ability, but I'd much rather have him in the middle overs, using his
Isn't he a
cutters and
surprise
that
power play
occasional short
bowler?
ball. He is the
It's a
power
very
play bowler when he captains. Let's take that out. When he's the captain, he's the power play bowler. He's the death bowler. If it were up to him, he'd bowl 20 overs in a game. But
it's like
luckily,
the kid
Rohit
that
will captain.
takes the bat and ball to the ground in gully cricket.
Yes,
But since I brought up Hardik Pandya, there has also been a lot of internet talks about BCCI having a hand in a lot of selections and how the way IPL teams set themselves up, keeping in mind the World Cup, a lot of questionable decisions otherwise, right? So, don't you think there is a good chance that they wanted to experiment Hardik as the power play bowler because they are counting on him along with Siraj or Bumrah to hold up one of the other ends? I feel it's very,
uh,
Yeah,
very
I
in
feel
possible.
the
it would be
past we've had
Hardik who would be split between the power play overs and the death. So Hardik, in all likelihood, will be bowling in partnership with Bumrah at the death and in partnership with Siraj at the start. So that's a more likely bowling partnership coming.
the only way Hardik gets wickets in the death is because Bumrah squeezes the opposition in the other over. So they have to try to hit Hardik, and
Yeah.
if he can maintain again his line and length, and I believe ball a test match length, which works in T20 cricket, as Josh Hazelwood has shown us a couple of years back.
hit
I
the
think he
death
can be
bowling.
that Josh Hazelwood kind of bowler uh, in T20 cricket.
Ridiculous.
Not
Putting
to
those
that
two in the
level.
same.
Don't get offended. Both of y'all don't get offended now. We're not comparing Hazelwood and
Stoinis,
We
Stoinis
are
has done
allowed
does
to
have
do
pretty
that
that.
well.
ability to.
I think Stoinis. I don't think even Mitchell Marsh is comparable to Hardik Pandya's bowling at this point. And Josh Hazelwood is probably Glenn McGrath aspirant, right? So you can't really
I think
put both of
Stoinis
them in the
is a
same.
very fair comparison in the bowling
Yeah,
department.
I don't. Yeah, I got the
No,
point. It's mostly around the line and length part of it,
Yeah,
which I
I'm
do
not
agree,
saying one is
Harshit.
superior
Yeah,
to the other. Yeah.
yeah, of course.
And
I
can we
got the
address the
drift.
elephant in the room now?
Yeah, let's jump to the elephant in the room, whose name is
So,
Virat Kohli, or sorry, Rinku Singh.
so,
Shashank Singh. Shashank Singh.
two steps back. Now, I think this Indian team again can win the World Cup. Why? Because T20 cricket is based on luck. You
Yeah,
can be
a
the
lot of
you don't
fun.
have to be the best team in the tournament. We've seen that with Australia in the past.
Delhi
You have to
Capitals.
be the
Yeah,
best on the particular day. You
you
have
need
to have
not
a winning.
necessarily be the best team on paper, if that's what you meant.
Exactly,
Paper.
exactly,
Mohammed Kaif.
exactly, exactly. Exactly. So India can still win it. I think my biggest problem with this team is the long term strategy and the message it gives to folks. Like you stat pad and get an orange cap and be in the top five of the orange cap and you
Oh,
get selected.
the
Whereas
gloves come
you
off.
hit
Yeah,
you
that
hit
stays
out or
on.
get out because you get less balls. And I mean, of course, a hit out or get out strategy will not always be successful, but that's what it is, and that's what's needed in T20 cricket. Uh, a player like Rinku Singh not being selected is the worst thing that Indian cricket has done in the last few years. Uh, Rinku Singh averages 89 and strikes at 176 in T20I cricket for India. No other player comes close in the last 2 years. I mean, Surya Kumar Yadav does come close, to be honest. But it's Rinku Singh at 176, Surya at 173, and then Yashasvi Jaiswal at 161. So you can see the gap between the best
Okay.
and the rest.
See,
Uh,
Archit, this is my question to you.
hmm.
Who are you leaving out? Obviously, I don't think this comparison between Rinku and Kohli is very fair to Kohli, because I think the kind of batting depth that India has, his anchor role is actually going to be really important. Unlike RCB, where you don't have power hitters
Yeah,
from the other. So
Uh, yeah.
Virat and
I
Let
think
me answer that before
the,
Rehan jumps in. I know he has an answer. So okay, as I mentioned
I
earlier, I don't
have
think
no idea
the
what this is.
anchor and the finisher are the right ways to think about T20 batting. I think it should be hitters. Hitters should be at all batting positions from 1 to 7, and you would. And I think it doesn't matter if somebody can anchor. You think Rinku Singh cannot come in at 3 and hit the ball for ones or twos? You think he can't do that? He can
I
do that.
actually do.
He can do
But
that. But
nowhere better than Kohli.
can the person who went for Rinku Singh, can he smash at 176? No, he can't. So I would leave out Virat Kohli for sure of this
Wow.
team, and he
that
clearly
brings
is
in
there
the
for
question.
non-certain reasons.
Yeah, that
But Rehan
brings
has
the
a different
question.
answer.
Archit,
Yeah, I
before moving to Rehan, Chris, if I
Yeah.
can just make one. So that brings the question. Since you mentioned that T20 is all about hitting, and then you have to bat really deep. How deep does India bat here in with this squad? You definitely can't say. Also, can't say Siraj can. Of except for one odd sixes here and there. I don't think Siraj, Bumrah,
They hit more
Arshdeep,
sixes than Maxi.
Chahal. I mean, jokes apart, but in a real crisis situation, I don't think after losing 6, 7 wickets, let's say within 12 over span, the remaining 8 overs, if in a scenario that comes up, I don't think India has the potential to actually take it to a respectable
agree.
total
I
after
think
that.
Archit
And
is
that's
very
when you need an anchor.
Mm,
This sort of a batting lineup needs an anchor.
yeah.
South Africa kind of a batting lineup, or maybe an England kind of a batting lineup, does not need an anchor because You will have Chris Wokes coming in, perhaps. God knows if he gets selected into the squad
He's
at
not
number
selected.
8 or something, and then still slog. Sam Curran coming in at number 7, still slog. Mark Wood can slog a few sixes, much better batter than Mohammad Siraj.
Chris Jordan.
So, yeah,
Jordan
I think you have the
coming
right
yeah,
in can also
Chris
diagnosis
hit
of
the
the
Jordan.
ball.
problem.
Yeah, Chris Jordan
I
can.
think you
So,
have the right diagnosis of the problem.
yeah.
But the solution for me lies in these lower order batters practicing hitting, not keeping an anchor, and also making a batting order deeper. For example, in my 11, I would have Aksar coming at 8, and Aksar is a very capable top 7 batter, and I would just have him practice sixes. And then I would have Kuldeep Yadav, who has some batting potential, and Jasprit Bumrah to again just practice hitting sixes, 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 sixes. If it comes off, then India can reach a total of say 120 or 130 if the top order has been blown off. If it doesn't, then anyway, a one, I mean, doing tuk also will get you to 120, 130, and you will have the same result. That's my
I
opinion.
mean,
Let's see what happens. But it's a very
to
good question,
I'll answer
Gandalf.
Khandal's question. Yeah, I'll answer Khandal's question before I go into the thing I was mentioning earlier. But see, like if you lose 5, 6 wickets up front, you saw what happened to Mumbai Indians yesterday. Mumbai versus Lucknow. We did lose at 4 wickets up front, 5 wickets up front. Uh, Ishan Kishan, who has had like an outstanding record in the power play so far in terms of strike rate, uh, he played that tuk cricket. He was rotating singles. Nihal Vadera, who's been striking the ball at close to 200, was playing that role. Every batter, all of India's batters have a very strong first class base. I'm sorry, but if you want Rinku Singh to come in at number 3, he can. He might not be able to hit the spinners for that 170 strike rate, but he can actually play spin. He's got an outstanding first class record and a list A record. He's actually got a very high average against spinners as well, even in T20 cricket. He does not get dismissed to spinners. He just can't hit them like he hits the pacers. So if you want him to do that Virat Kohli kind of role against spinners, he can easily do it. He's very capable as well. It's just that hitting. See, and now coming to Rinku's exclusion, who is it? I would still have Virat Kohli in the squad because he is still a master of chases. I don't know what happened to his ability of picking slower balls of fast bowlers. If he can revive that, he is still actually a pretty good pace hitter at the end. In chases, Virat Kohli is still a very capable batter. Wouldn't say no ever. He calculates and times his chases really, really well. I don't think Rinku was fighting a spot with Virat Kohli to begin with. Chahal, the fourth spinner. Are you ever going to play a four spinners in your 11? Ever? No, you already have Jadeja and Akshar and Kuldeep Yadav. You do not have space to play a fourth spinner. You will have to compromise on. You will want Hardik to become your second seamer, which he is not good enough to at this point of time. So you're never going to play that fourth spinner. And Chahal cannot bowl on flat tracks. His googly isn't as good. He's almost uh, disabled while bowling against the left-handers. He is not Bishnoi. First of all, it should have been Bishnoi instead of Chahal to begin with. But we do not need a fourth spinner in that squad. Rinku Singh, day in, day out, should have been there instead of
Uh,
that. You're
and three
always going to,
SLAs
a
is
squad will always have two
too
keepers.
many. If we
Sorry?
look
I
at
agree on Bishnoi for Chahal. Bishnoi in December 2023, which is 4 months back, was the world's #1 ranked T20I bowler. And you may take it with a
Yeah,
grain of salt because, I mean, T20I rankings are that way.
their
But he was
rankings. Yeah.
also the man of the series against an Australian team in a T20I series. And for a bowler to get a man of the series in T20Is, that's pretty amazing. And he's the incumbent. And Chahal has been pretty decent in the IPL, but he hasn't been drastically better than uh, somebody like Bishnoi over the last 1 year or so to have been selected.
I think
With
this goes
Bishnoi, he
back
did a
to
three-phase bowler.
your point of Rohit going with somebody who is very familiar with managing in the playing 11. But why do you need three SLAs to
Somebody
begin with?
said somebody said that and I'll switch to Hindi that जो सबसे ज्यादा रोहित को हंसाएगा वही कीपर बनेगा and that is Pant. Obviously, Rohit mentioned in an interview that Pant entertains him while wicket keeping. So Rohit is going on vibes.
Yeah,
And
so
I hope
I
not. No, I
think
hope Samsung
I
wins.
have some other pattern, and I would like to quote a recurrent commenter here, Anirudh. He says that he would have dropped Rohit for sure. Looking at the Aussie squad, who won the both the WTC and the ODI World Cup, they gave the captaincy to Mitch Marsh,
yeah,
built by champions, built for World Cups. I think what he means to say is that the Australian management does not really care about dropping their format best or whatever it is, uh, their most reputed folk, if they really have to go for horses for courses kind of a team. And that's where I think we'll slowly segue into the Australian squad discussion as well. But before that, I just want to make this point around the Indian team and the squad. Has the team management or the selection committee shown a lot of faith in the tried and tested players? It seems like they wanted to keep it safe and play it safe for a big tournament, and that big tournament focus is what probably made them decide Virat Kohli getting in or a Rohit Sharma getting in place of, let's say, a Rinku Singh or someone else, like a youngster, right? So I think they would have gone for that. Like Kohli obviously has this knack of performing in big tournaments against the biggest opposition on the biggest stage, especially while chasing and things like that. And
I want
similarly with Rohit Sharma, he's a proven performer. So yeah,
yeah, I want to take this before the Indian fans jump at this. And let's not forget at the end of the day, T20 is about money and going global and introducing new fans. I think this is something that we have been talking offline. And the World Cup being in the US for the first time ever, that is definitely played into a lot of these selection calls, right? So it doesn't matter. I mean, of course, the bigger and more important question to ask is should it be that way? But somebody like a Rinku Singh, for all his performances on the field, nobody is going to tune in to a game for Rinku ahead of a Virat Kohli. So certain players like even Rohit Sharma that Anirudh brought up, these are, to quote Archit, who takes the example of corporates, right? So these are the safe products that they know that will fly off the shelf and they were always going to be included. The question is the intent. Like he said, what and like our title says, what do you care about more? The World Cup. This is the same Indian team that for all intent and purposes kicked out your Sachin and Ganguly and brought in a team led by Dhoni in 2007. Now
No,
is the
sorry, they
best
actually
time.
opted out.
Yes,
They
yes, I
opted
know.
out.
That's
They
why I
weren't
said
kicked
for
out.
all. I
No, there's a
stand
big
corrected.
difference. Yeah,
Yes. Okay, they opted out. But
Archit, you're on
since
mute.
2007, this is the best time where India could have done that. Bring in the young blood. Let's phase out the older players. But they opted for a very conservative approach, which is puzzling given the remarkable success they had last time out, right? So I don't think India is going
Which
to
success are you talking about?
2007. I know it's very far away,
Oh,
but you have a blueprint where senior players who were thought to make the team, they didn't. You took a young team, and I believe it was again in the West Indies, if I'm not mistaken, in 2007. And
South
that's what
Africa.
South Africa.
South
Okay.
Africa.
That's what India should have done, but they went with a more conservative, marketable team, I should say. And I think you will
No,
suffer from
not
it.
just in terms of marketing. I'd actually disagree with you. See, you look at opening options. You want to drop Rohit Sharma. Okay, you drop Rohit Sharma. Who's the next best opener out there? If you look at purely based, Shubman Gill's too slow. He's still their anchor. Ruturaj Gaikwad is day in, day out an anchor. Abhishek Sharma is your most obvious player. But purely based on this year's IPL, you cannot select based on this year's IPL. The tracks have been too
Yeah.
good to be true. Abhishek Sharma is a spin monster, just like Dubey. I will give you that. But he struggles way too much against the moving ball. He will get dismissed more times than not. There is a reason SRH tried him at three than opening. So Rohit Sharma, if he can replicate what he did in that one day World Cup, just that power play blitz. And he has the ability and he has the shots as well. He has more shots than an Abhishek Sharma at this point of time. Uh, he is taking on his negative matchups as well. So you look at that game against CSK, 100, before he had that slowdown, he was actually trying to hit boundaries off of Jadeja. Even if he had 1-2 dot balls, he was trying to take on that negative matchup. Ruturaj Gaikwad has that obvious uh, issue against the moving ball as well. There's a reason they demoted him to number 3 and put Rahane up top. So you should see who would replace them ideally. Abhishek Sharma is just not ready for a T20 World Cup just yet. He would be a good number 3
Yeah.
post the T20 World Cup. He would walk into the 11. I'll give you that much. He'll be better as a cricketer as well. And look at Virat Kohli. You look at the two T20 World Cups that went by, the one prior to the last one, sorry, 2014 and 2016. He was the player of the tournament. He is a bank. He will hold one side true. You pair him up with a Shivam Dube, that's the best thing you can do to a Virat Kohli. A Shivam Dube, the other side batting with Virat Kohli, he will destroy spin. All Virat has to do is rotate the strike, and who better than Virat to rotate strike, right? So if you pair him up well, you can actually do amazingly. And the like India have selected a pretty good squad with the available resources. They haven't gone for those like IPL thing. Like for example, selecting a Dinesh Karthik really would have been in the cards for everybody. Uh, you could argue that Rishabh Pant is purely being selected on this basis, despite his poor returns in T20 internationals. But they didn't actually go for purely IPL selections. Uh, Natarajan, Sandeep Sharma, all of them are very just IPL products. And also they're purely death bowlers. You want somebody up front who can swing the ball. Sandeep Sharma does have that ability. Natarajan, you could say it's purely he's just nailing his in form. When he's out of form,
Khalil can do that.
you don't know what's happening. The same thing with Siraj. Sorry?
I think Khalil can do that. Khalil can swing at pace, and that's why I think he's been included in the
Absolutely.
reserves.
Yeah, he's absolutely. He's somebody who should have been included in the T20 setup from a long time ago. He was, and because of injury concerns, he's been in and out, and he's in the reserves because of that. But he doesn't pick somebody who India have invested a lot of time in Siraj, Mukesh Kumar, in who's the other player? Arshdeep Singh. They've invested a lot of time and effort into them, and they've played a lot of cricket as well. They're not bad cricketers. Yes, there are alternatives available, but with all the resources, they've actually selected a pretty good team, barring the exclusion of Rinku Singh and like say Ravi Bishnoi over Chahal.
Now, I think
I
one
have to
thing for
agree on my
certain,
concluding part.
yeah,
Sorry, Pranav, go ahead.
Sorry?
yeah, I'm just saying that, one thing's for certain that India has one of the best bench strengths ever in the history of the sport.
Absolutely.
We are in that point in time where there is almost like 3 or 4 replacements for every player in the Indian side. And as a selector, it's really tough to actually nail the squad. So there will be always questions about why not this, why not Shahrukh, why not certain other bowler. You will always have somebody or the other cheering for everyone else. But the fact is that this is actually a decent squad. You can always
Yes.
argue that Sandeep Sharma should come in Siraj's place, but what goes on in the selector's mind is probably the most likely scenario that is expected to pan out across matches, uh,
Yeah.
and they don't think of specific scenarios to pick a player in a squad. So a player for most scenarios, wherever that would be applicable, just like how we look at all format players, they will probably look at all scenario players. The most likely player to fit in will probably make the squad. So that's how they probably went for this. And I can only envy as a fan of cricket Australia, and I'm sure other fans of other countries will also probably envy the bench strength that we have. Thanks to
Absolutely.
the IPL for unearthing most of these talented
Yes.
folks. But so that's probably my
Absolutely.
understanding and takeaway from all the discussion that we're having.
India's 2024 World Cup squad reminds me a lot of Spain in 2010, where they had a gala 11 and you could feel the second gala 11 with the players on the bench. I think that's a very brilliant point that you put across, Gandalf. The only problem is there is no concept of bench. in cricket, unfortunately, or impact some, right? So if you don't nail your playing 11 on that particular day, you could have a match winner on the bench and they'd be rotting in the bench the entire match. I think that's the point that we are trying to put out. I think
Yeah.
I'm happy with India squad. I
Final
still
thoughts. I think
feel
there was a point about Natarajan being better than Khalil. I think if you look at the past, yes, Natarajan. If you look at history, it's a history-based selection. Then I think Natarajan is a better choice. But if you look at potential-based selection, then maybe Khalil pips out. I wouldn't have been disappointed with Natarajan being selected either. So that's that. There's one very grim stat. I mean, we look at Hardik Pandya as our finisher, as our Henrik Klassen, as our Tim David in India. But his strike rate has been horrible over the last 2 years. He's struck at 135, which has been worse than Rohit Sharma, which has been worse than Virat Kohli. So that's saying something. So again, going back to the point of mindset, mentality, and strategy, that's what India needs to get right. They have the horses, except one horse. They need to ask those horses to gallop and not slow down.
I think
If you want to talk
speaking of
about
horses, I think it's good time we move into a different course. The Australian squad. Chris, while we just get started on it, if you could bring that squad up on screen, that would be terrific.
sure. Just give me a minute.
Uh,
Any closing thoughts?
Clear,
Where do you see
yeah.
India? I think we should end with that before we move on to Australia.
Semi-finals.
Yeah, I think they're good enough to get into the finals. I would think they're not really bad, so they can
Anything
probably
can
get
happen
into
in
the
the finals.
finals. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think the playoff,
And I'm
the
gonna say they're a winning
semi-finals and the
squad.
finals are lottery. Dhoni has mentioned that a couple of times. He said his goal is to bring his team into the playoffs, CSK into the playoffs, and then it's all almost lottery always. So
Yeah.
I would say India is good enough to go to the semi-finals. Then it's just what happens on the day.
I'll frame it this way. This is the potential squad. You can still make changes to this squad. So let's say they're actually one injury away from Rinku Singh. Rinku Singh is the obvious next in line. So
Wow.
if Rinku Singh is in the squad, he should be in the 11, and then India are actually good enough to win the World Cup.
Will Rohit send mysterious folks to Hardik's room at night?
I mean, you never know.
Somebody should
One
explain
family.
these inside jokes, these Mumbai Indians jokes.
Okay.